Hello, nerds, and welcome to this week's installment of the Nerds on Earth Punch List. I'm Abram, and I'm joined, as always, with my esteemed colleague, Clave, who will say hello to everybody now.
Are we live?
We are live.
Are we live?
We are. We are
You
live.
promise?
I promise this time.
All right.
So, welcome everybody to the Punch List as we discuss the top seven, or at least seven, nerdy bits of news from the past week, and then we break it down live for you. We talk about it. We chat it up. So we put out that Punch List article on Nerds on Earth every Wednesday morning, so you can follow along at home with your favorite Nerds on Earth talking heads, Abram and Clave. So let's, without further ado, let us talk about number 7 on this week's punch list. Xbox Series X backwards compatibility has been revealed. And Microsoft, everyone knows they're probably using Excel to log their 500,000 hours of testing that they've done on the backwards compatibility for the Xbox X Series.
They're on brand.
They're not going to Google Sheets for this work here.
No way.
But basically, what it all boils down to, all Xbox 360, Xbox, and Xbox One games playable on Xbox One today will be playable on the X and S series at launch later this month. Is it later this month? Man, I'm getting all confused. I know the PlayStation is. I don't know when the Xbox
All I
is.
know is it's 2020. I can't forget that fact.
Right. It's hard to push that one out of the brain. Um, so super good news because for those of you who may not know, backwards compatibility sort of went the way of the dodo, and now it's back, and everybody loves it because that's what everybody wants.
Well, I'm glad you confirmed backwards compatibility is good news because I didn't know. Do you know why? Because my Xbox is covered in dust.
Yeah.
Because that's how much I get to play anymore. And so I'm wondering, like, what games I have. I can't recall, but I'm super happy that should I get a new Xbox, that they'll work.
It'll work for you, and that's what everyone wants really because to have to start a library from zero, it's like when you have all these great games. It's like I got to go dust off the VHS player to play my Aladdin movie. It's too much work. We want
Yeah.
less work. We're at work all day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say the issue is all digital, right? And so I'm sure a lot of folks have their green cases, right? Um, and so will that work? I don't know how that's going to work. Did the article say anything about your digital library that's tied to your live account? I'm sure that
I'm
works, right?
I'm hope I can't remember if the article said, but I'm fairly certain that that is the case.
Well, let's
That
just say yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
We need
confirmed.
some good we need some good news right now. Let's just say yes.
For all you thousands of viewers watching right now, yes, your digital libraries will 100% work. We know that for a fact.
Asterisk, just check with Microsoft because we just made that up.
Yeah. So really cool. It's great news for anybody who's snagging the new console on day one, and if you're snagging the console 2 years from now, it's still great news.
Right.
It doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
There's plenty of games to play and plenty to work through, so no rush for you there. Number 6 on this week's punch list. We're sticking in the video game arena. PlayStation Plus members' free games for November are available today. As of Actually, I think as of yesterday, maybe I think I could download them yesterday. So Middle Earth: Shadow of War and Hollow Knight
Fun.
Voidguard Edition are available for PlayStation Plus users. And keep in mind that if you are going to get a PS5, or even if you're not, once the PS5 comes out, you can also snag Bug Snacks, which is a PS5 release title, but you can at least add it to your library after it releases, so you have it in case you ever get a PS5. I always make a habit to do that. Claim all the freebies. I just
Yeah.
gather them all up and claim them. So
Yeah, if there is one thing that can bring together a divided America, it's that free games every month is a good thing, right? And I'm sure that we will squabble over policy issues of which games should be free. But can't we all agree in essence that free games are a good thing every month? And so that's good. It's good to hear, and particularly as this big launch thing, and the console wars and who's going to win, PlayStation or Xbox. And I think we already know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But then industry wide, you have these other things like the shift to mobile and the youth movement on Switch and all these sort of things. But despite all that, industry changes, console wars, what's new, the one thing a divided America can agree on is free games every month is a good thing.
Agreed. And people always will complain about the quality of free games. These are great free games, by the way.
Yeah.
But when you have so many like good base level free games, games like Fortnite or Apex Legends or Among Us, or even when Fall Guys came out as a free PlayStation Plus games bring people together. So when they're free, more people get to play them. And even if it's like, I already had that game, well, maybe you want to dust off your digital edition and jump back in, because there's a whole influx of players that, this is maybe their first time experiencing it. So it's free games. Yeah. You're right, Clave. Free games are great games.
And that 4-letter word, free.
Yeah, we love that. Free, like, I go, why else would I go to the dentist except to get a free toothbrush, right?
That's why I go.
So check out, we already told you, there's no, you don't have to check out a list of the free games we just told you. So number 5 on the punch list, working it down, Dungeons & Dragons live action TV series is in the works. Man, it seems like every week we're talking about some Dungeons & Dragons TV show or animated series or something, but this is a new one and we haven't talked about. So Hasbro's working on this series that's coming out alongside the movie, the Dungeons & Dragons movie, which is 2022. Can't believe that's 2 years away. And my favorite part of this article is Hasbro CEO Brian Goldner cites the growing popularity of D&D, both product sales and streaming entertainment, as the reason behind the new venture, aka people like D&D and it's growing, so we're gonna do some more of that D&D stuff.
Yeah, gosh, man, we do talk about that. I mean, I think we got to rewind a little bit to last year, Witcher. The Witcher was a big thing, and of course before that, Game of Thrones, and so that fantasy genre, obviously, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure those shows were popular. So I'm thinking a fantasy show just might work, and we've been talking about the hold up at Amazon of Lord of the Rings, and gosh, it was last punch list that we talked about Assassin's Creed, right? And,
yep, I think so.
And then you and I talk frequently about our preference or our love of live action.
Yes.
I don't want to disparage animation, but I'm a live action kind of guy, and so to have this is great news, I think, and obviously all news when it comes to in production has to be held super loosely, because
who knows?
So a gazillion things are in production, and it is, from in production to actually being able to see it with your eyeballs is a lot of steps and a lot of money and a lot of people involved and a lot of hurdles and a million chances someone along the line to say no and shut it down. So you have to hold it loosely, but still, I mean, I think that's great news. And obviously a Dungeons & Dragons story is something that will play. One more sidebar. And on a previous punch list, one of the news items was a lawsuit between Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss, who are legends in the D&D world because they wrote the Dragonlance novels, which are millions sold, 30 plus novels, and they are suing Wizards of the Coast for breach of contract. So so there are new Dragonlance books written that suddenly were shelved, and so it's a big hoobla-hoo. And so I share that to say I'm pretty darn sure if this D&D live action show gets made, it will not be set in Dragonlance because I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
I don't think it will.
Yeah. So you're looking at the Forgotten Realms, I'm sure, which is fine and dandy and great, and so many of the books are written from there, and there's some iconic characters that could be involved. Maybe we'll get to see Dritz on the screen,
Can you
and
imagine?
maybe we'll get to see Minsk and Boo. What's Boo, the little hamster familiar? It's a popular D&D character. Tiamat the dragon. It's who knows? So many great D&D things, but
Maybe.
yeah, I sure hope it happens because, gosh, I mean, how great would that be?
That would be. It's gonna. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think. The thing about live action. I mean, they're gonna have a huge budget, knowing Hasbro and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, imagine like a huge Beholder scene or something. Like,
Oh,
there's so
oh.
many just iconic
Well,
moments in D&D, and just I mean. Having are they going to have like a 4 character party, like the cleric and the wizard and the
oh,
fighter, like
oh, you definitely do
like
because by golly, yeah. I mean, of course you do. And think about the video games. How many people have played the Icewind Dale video games, Baldur's Gate video games? Imagine seeing that
oh
town,
my
that
gosh.
area on the screen, Waterdeep, the city of Waterdeep, like come to life on the screen. I mean, you start to talk about it and you're like, oh,
I
like whatever
know.
streaming service I'm signing up.
I should. And I mean, now, wow, you're getting me way more hyped up now than I was before just reading it. But like, think about if they do like more like episodic nature, kind of like Mandalorian is, where it's like each episode is a quest, like a little quest that they're doing with
Totally.
like a big. Oh my gosh, I can't. We got to shut it down, Clave. We're shutting down the punch list
Totally.
before we lose all of our
Totally.
excitement.
And honestly, if they do it right, they lean into D&D, right? So
Oh,
it's not called season 2, it's called level 2, right? Or whatever. And then, some of the spells, they lean into the spells names and that sort of thing. If you if you do it right, you really just lean into it, not in a campy way, but
right.
just honor your source material, which is all of these phrases, the lingo, the stuff. I mean, certainly there's a cut scene, and the adventuring party is playing a game where they roll dice, right? I mean,
Oh my gosh,
there's got to
yes.
be some of those things that are just little nerd Easter eggs that will get us all just fired up and excited and want to chat about it.
Yes, it's yeah. I'm very excited for this. So check out the article. You can read the non-details that are present there because they're keeping their lips sealed over in the Hasbro studios. Number 4 this week on the punch list, a topic we've touched on a lot, but we're getting some concrete numbers here. AMC Theaters is quote, feeling the sting, end quote, of COVID closures in a major way. They reported a $900 million loss in the
It's a
most
big
recent
number.
quarter, which is a 90% drop.
90%, you say?
That's it, apparently. So obviously, not having all of those big theatrical releases, aka none, save for a few, and trying to companies trying to pivot and do we go digital and like how do we get around? How do we get movies out? Well, no movies are coming out. How do we get people in the theater? We show Hocus Pocus, I guess. That's how you get people to come to the theater. So theaters are struggling really hard, and I think AMC is. I mean, as huge as they are, like some of these theaters they're just on their way out. This is their swan song because they have not found a good way to pivot. People aren't comfortable about going in a theater, and the 4 people that aren't going to pay for the hot dog that's been spinning on the thing for 2 days, probably because no one bought it.
Well, Abram, let's turn this frown upside down. There are 10% of people still going to theaters
Wow.
or something. I guess that's how the math works. I don't know. But 90% decline. I mean, there's still 10%. I don't
They're
know.
hanging
I
on.
mean, it's a mess. It's a mess, right? And so gosh, I think so many things in our culture, so many things in America have been designed to pack as many people as possible into as small as space as possible. And so My daughter is going back and trying in-person school. She goes in tomorrow. We'll see how that goes.
Oh,
Churches are having a heck of a time. Movie theaters are shut down. There's so many things that in our
elevators,
culture.
for one.
Elevators, yeah, you want to do that one at a time. And yeah, there are so many different things that have been designed in our culture to pack as many people as possible into a small space, line them up in seats and rows, right? And we're seeing COVID numbers just go crazy. And I had a coworker that was just tested positive, and it's like, oh, gravy, this
Yep.
is not good. And so, I all that to say, not to be doom and gloom, but I can't imagine a scenario where I'm comfortably going back into a theater anytime soon. And obviously, I'm not alone, because you hear
It's,
those numbers from AMC, and it's a death spiral.
yeah, and I think I don't know. My prediction is these like big mega theaters are sort of, I don't know if that's really the play anymore. It's going to be these smaller, more personalized experiences, maybe, not 20 different cinema halls. I don't know what you call the individual rooms in a
Yeah,
theater, the theater in the theater.
yeah.
Um,
Well, that's interesting, because here in the Twin Cities, so some of the theaters are doing, it's $100, and
I
you
saw that. I've seen
rent
some
out the
ads for
room,
that.
right? And you can have up to 20 people. And I think, for a family, or what, a large family, and or maybe extended family, that they've essentially been sheltered in place together, and they feel comfortable gathering, they could pay $100, which is a great deal, to do that. But obviously, that type of revenue isn't going to make it
Mm,
work, because
no.
you know, what, say a 10 theater multiplex, you know 10 times 100, that's only $1,000, and that's not even
That's not even scratching the
close to,
surface.
that's not any scratch at all.
Right. So very, very interesting. So again, I don't think we've talked about theaters for a couple months now on the punch list, but we like to keep you updated on the goings on, since movies are a big facet of nerd culture.
Well, and we might not be talking about theaters anyone in 50 years, because they might be not a thing to talk about anymore. They might be in the Smithsonian.
Father, what is a theater? You never know. Moving on, punch list number 3. Halloween Kills teaser trailer is revealed. So the latest movie in the Halloween, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Franchise.
Hmm.
So they had a new teaser trailer that for the movie coming out next October in 2021. So you can go ahead and check out the punch list. You can watch the trailer. It's incredibly short. I think it's less than a minute, and the back half is pretty much not plot related at all. It's advertisements and whatnot. But it's, Mike Myers again, and it's exactly a Halloween movie, and good for them to get that out, the trailer, in a timely fashion around Halloween. Who would have thought?
Well, we just talked about the death spiral of theaters, and now we're talking about a movie that may or may not come out.
Right.
So, well, what do you want me to say, Abrams?
I want you to have both feet
check
in
out
both
check
ponds.
out the 30 seconds of teaser trailer that, you know
It's
who
being
knows.
called a masterpiece, and I'm quoting that directly from the article, Clave. It's a masterpiece.
Right, because what else would they say?
It's
We're gonna make a mediocre movie that probably may or may not be delayed because of this pandemic. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say it's a masterpiece, because people lie to us.
people lie. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not, the Halloween franchise is not really my bag. I wouldn't even call them like scary movies. They're more like thrillers. But I just, I don't like scary movies to begin with. So, anything called Halloween makes me shake in my boots. Um,
Same.
so we are not the Halloween experts, but I do have it from a reliable source, aka a friend of mine, who saw the most recent one and enjoyed it. So apparently they're doing some things right with the series in this it's not really a reboot, but it's sort of a let's blow the dust off Halloween. I've said that phrase 3 times now in the punch list, I think. Blow the dust off of XYZ. But it's a revival of sorts.
You're thinking about old Nintendo NES cartridges.
I know. And I want to know the reasoning of how that worked. Like, why did that work? But it worked every time. You blow the cartridge and it would fire right up.
That was the technology in 1985.
Apparently you need a little spit on your cartridge to get it working.
Absolutely.
So you go check out that trailer. I don't think we have anything else to really say about that. Number 2 on this week's punch list, World of Warcraft's Shadowlands expansion has been announced with a release date. So it is coming November 23rd. So in 19 days as of the live edition of this punch list. So this is the eighth full expansion to World of Warcraft, and it was only delayed a month. So actually, it should have been out already, but now
in Blizzard standards, that's pretty darn good.
That's pretty
on schedule. That's ahead of schedule.
That's ahead of schedule, exactly. So if you're into the raiding culture of WoW, that raid will drop 2 weeks after launch, which I think is pretty much on par for most raid style activities these days, is they don't have them right away so that people get a chance to dig into the other stuff before doing the end game content. Clave, what level is your WoW character, and tell us all about him or her.
I gotta tell you a story.
Oh boy.
So my oldest daughter, just turned 12, and when she was a newborn, I played so much World of Warcraft, so much, because here's why. Because as you know, you got to feed baby at night. And so Dad's job was to take the early feeding, which was about 2 a.m., 2 a.m. And so I would just stay up. And, I'm obviously not going to go to bed. And I was going to stay up, and then I'd do the feeding. And to stay up, to occupy my time, I'd play World of Warcraft. And then, I'd hear the baby, and I'd feed the baby. And here I am, and I'm playing
You're
WoW.
mining ore.
Yeah, and what a game. What a game. And we forget that at the height of that game, it was 15 million players, and I'm sure it's down to 1 million, like just 1 million players. But what a game. And she's 12 now. So that was 12 years ago. And so 12 years later, they're still releasing content, and it's an iconic game in gamer history, and it's the fact that it's the 8th expansion, you just kind of like, that's comforting, right? It's like World of Warcraft is still a thing, right? And I miss it because it was a lot of fun to play, and gosh, if I had time or if I was irresponsible and blew off responsibilities, I'd play it now probably, because it is a lot of fun, and my highest character is 72. Wow. So I'm sure they're still in my battle net, I guess, but it's been over a decade since I've played, and so I don't know what the level cap is now, but back then I guess it would have been 70. 72 seems weird. Maybe it was 75, maybe it was 70. I don't know. It's been over a decade.
Wow, and I haven't played a whole lot of WoW, but WoW, just what it did for it established the MMORPG genre. You got the Elder Scrolls Online that tries to do the same thing, which I've played, but my jam back in the day was I played text-based RPGs. Where you type in like go north, go south, blah blah blah.
Zork.
Played a lot with my brother, probably too much during a period of time, but always really enjoyed it. So the whole genre, it's kicking, it's alive and well, and super good to see 8 expansions. And I'll expect an update next Punchlist, Clave, on how you tried to log in and what the results of that were.
Man, if I could just remember my password.
There's the problem. That's the problem.
I had a little dongle. That's how they used to do security. I don't know if that's still a thing, but you had a dongle, and so you'd go to log in, and you had to press the button, and it would give a code, and that's how it would because
They do that all through the phone
hackers,
account.
Abram,
They're taking your character
they're nefarious.
and your fire sword.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So check out the details on Shadowlands and get prepping or get ready to log back in come the end of November when that releases. If you are a diehard WoW player, which you're probably logged in right now, you probably have that on your other screen while you're watching the punch list.
Yeah, if you play WoW, you're not watching anything else except you're playing 22 hours a day.
Yes, there's no middle ground. That's it. And number one on the punch list, sort of a down note to end on here. For those who did not hear, Sir Thomas Sean Connery has passed away at the age of 90, which I didn't even realize he was that old. But, I mean, obviously he played James Bond. That was like his iconic that everyone remembers him from. I really like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Which is probably one of his lesser known roles.
And mine, of course, was The Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. I think everyone probably has a role that they remember him best in, and obviously he's a legend. And so, 90 years old. I think it was difficult to read that he suffered from dementia toward the end, and so that's always tough because I think all of us we don't have world famous iconic movie stars in our family, but I think we all have been touched by dementia somewhere in our family, and that's always tough. I think that was the down thing to hear,
right?
But in terms of celebrating his life, what a career, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, he was the James Bond.
He was the James Bond, yes. And so just if you got a second, just go on IMDb and look up everything that he's been in. I mean, it's incredible the catalog and his catalog of work that he's been in. So if you see something on there that you haven't watched before or something that you loved, it's always good to pay tribute in that way by going back and checking out some of those things, especially the older movies that maybe you missed the first time around. That are really good.
Or Celebrity Jeopardy.
Or Celebrity iconic movies or Celebrity Jeopardy, because everybody likes that. So we'll wrap it up from the top. We've run through 7. We'll run through 7 again. Number 7 on the punch list, Xbox Series X backwards compatibility has been revealed and confirmed. So that's great news. Number 6, you can download your PlayStation Plus free games for November starting today, and then make sure that when PS5 comes out that you pick up Bug Snacks. That's with an X. Number 5, Dungeons & Dragons live-action TV series is in the works, obviously through Hasbro. Number 4, AMC Theaters is feeling the sting of COVID closures in a major way at the tune of $900 million. Number 3, Halloween Kills teaser trailer is now out, so you can watch the next installment in that franchise. The trailer for it, at least. Number 2, World of Warcraft Shadowlands expansion release date announced for November 23rd, a couple weeks from now. And number 1, Sir Sean Connery passes away at age 90. And that's the punch list for this week.
I think the most impressive thing is neither of us tried to do a bad Sean Connery impersonation, which I think we should be applauded.
It shows some very significant restraint and self-control on our end, so we should get a brief round of applause for that one. As always, check out nerdsonearth.com for nerdy articles that cover the gambit of everything that you could possibly want to learn more about.
Comic books and The Mandalorian, and
got a great Mandalorian stuff with the release of season 2, so we'll be doing recaps on there every Friday, and we'll throw in a couple supplemental articles here and there with some stuff,
some tasty stuff,
some tasty bits. But other than that, I think we'll leave you there, nerds. Clave, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for talking news.
Abram, you're awesome. Later, nerds.
Later.